10 days before the wedding, my fiance dropped a cool million on a fancy yacht for Chase. I chucked the matching wedding bands I'd bought for us straight in the trash. 7 days before I was supposed to say I do, she threw Chase a birthday bash that cost her $50,000. I burned every goddamn photo album filled with our memories together. 3 days before the wedding, she was spotted making out with Chase on the beach wearing the engagement ring I gave her today. I'm done. Time to give them what they want. I told our friends and family the wedding was off and returned the engagement heirloom to the Wilkinson family. Mr. and Mrs. Wilkinson, I know I'm not good enough for Bethany. Please just let me end things now. Mr. Wilkinson gave me a look like I was something nasty he'd scraped off his shoe. Stanley, what the hell are you doing? Why call off the wedding? Mrs. Wilkinson jumped in all fake concern. The wedding is in a few days, how can you do this? What will people think of me and your father? I kept my gaze down and gently placed the antique jade pendant on the coffee table. It was carved with a dragon, the light made it glow softly. The matching phoenix pendant was with Bethany now. They could have the set back. Don't worry, I'll tell everyone I called off the wedding. I said calmly. I won't let this affect Bethany or your family's reputation. The Wilkinsons could barely hide their miles. If Bethany's grandpa hadn't insisted on this match, they would never have let her marry me. I was just okay. Not good enough for their golden child. Now I was doing them a favor. They were happy to cancel the wedding without asking why. I got home late that night and Bethany still wasn't back. Finally, around midnight, she waltzed in, smelling faintly of booze. I hated it. She must have finished her trip with Chase, and she must have thought I was an idiot. She tossed me a watch. I brought you a gift for my business trip. Happy early wedding. Do you like it? The watch looked brand new, but there were 2 clear scratches on the back of the face. It was a factory second. She was waiting for my reaction. Usually I would be thrilled, treating the gift like it was a holy relic. But I'd seen that watch on Chase's Insta page. He'd posted a rant. Damn watch got scratched after only 2 days. Bad luck. The pic showed the back of the watch with those 2 scratches, plain as day. Bethany had given it to him, not me. I ran my finger over the scratches, feeling the rough edges. Thanks, I love it. I heard myself say. Bethany beamed and started adjusting the band. Her perfume hit me, that cheap cedar scent Chase always had in his car. But next time, don't give me something someone else has used. I said, pulling my hand away. Bethany's smile vanished, her eyes flashed. What's that supposed to mean? I kept my face blank. Isn't it obvious? It's not cool to pass Chase's old shit on to me. Bethany's face twisted with impatience. I only gave him that watch to thank him. Why are you always so petty? I fired back. Oh sure, you thank him with the good stuff and I get the rejects. Bethany's face darkened. What's your problem, Stanley? I just wanted to thank him. I can't gift him a busted thing. Right, and you can give the busted one to me. She rolled her eyes at me and said with anger. Stanley, do you have to pick up a fight right before our big day? You think I won't call this wedding off, huh? If you keep talking in this weird way, then I will just see it as you asking for it. She threw the same old threats like she always does. Before I'd be scared shitless, begging her not to go through with it, but now she wouldn't need to call it off. I already had. I almost told her I'd already ended things, but she turned on her heel and stomped back to the bedroom, slamming the door behind her. The living room was suddenly empty. Every damn time she does this, and every time I'd chase after her, groveling for forgiveness, but not anymore. I was done. The next morning I woke up to see Bethany all dressed up, putting on earrings in front of the mirror. She glanced at me. Chase and I are going to a business lunch. He'll be here soon, you can handle the wedding stuff. I laughed to myself. She still thinks there's a wedding to plan. She's going to lunch with another man days before our wedding. But from my side, I have already called all the vendors to cancel the big day. If she'd bothered to make a single phone call, she'd know the wedding was already dead. I was about to say something when we got an unwelcome visitor. Bethany, are you ready? I parked the car downstairs. Chase called as he let himself in. I'm going to grab my bag, feel free to get seated. Bethany went to the bedroom, leaving me alone with Chase. He sized me up, his eyes landing on my wrist. Chase snorted. So that's why Bethany didn't want this watch anymore. He sidled up to grinning. She gave it to you, huh? Stanley? Chase's tone was mocking. Too bad it's broken and it won't work with me. I was too tired last night and fell asleep as soon as I got home, so I didn't take the watch off. Now he was using it to humiliate me. I yanked the watch off and dropped it on the table. Just then, Bethany came out, purse in hand. She saw the watch and her face went hard. She sensed the tension and glared at me. I swear to God, play nice. With that, she looped her arm through Chase's and they left. After they were gone, I headed to work and handed in my resignation. No one at the company knew Bethany and I were together. We'd been dating for 5 years. But she refused to go public. She claimed the company didn't allow office romances, so she kept her distance at work. But she had no problem flaunting her relationship with Chase. They always had lunch together and people saw them leaving together. Everyone whispered that Chase was Bethany's little boy toy. I knew she heard the rumors, but she never bothered to set the record straight. The HR rep processed my paperwork fast. As I packed up, I could hear my co-workers whispering. Why would Stanley want to leave? Why else Chase landed Bethany and he's just jealous as hell. That was Mark, a team lead from another department who'd always hated me. He used to bring Bethany breakfast every day, bootlicking for years and got nothing. He must be pissed. Good riddance. It must suck seeing them all over each other. I ignored them, gathered my things and walked out. Mark was talking about back when I first started at the company. Bethany and I had been dating for 2 years. I knew she had stomach issues, so I worried about her skipping breakfast. I learned how to make healthy breakfasts and woke up an hour early to make her something every day, but she was always cold to me, afraid someone would figure us out. Everyone thought I was just kissing her ass trying to get with someone way out of my league. I brought it up with Bethany once, but she just shrugged. It's no big deal. Don't be so sensitive, just ignore them, who cares what they say. I understood she had to be careful as CEO, so I dropped it. But when people started whispering about her and Chase cried to her about it, she fired the employee who started the rumor. That shut everyone up. No one dared say anything Chase didn't want to hear. After I packed my stuff I went back home. I sat on the couch staring blankly out the window. It was late when she finally came home with Chase in tow. Chase sneered at me as he walked in, a smug grin on his face. He leaned close to Bethany, whispering something that made her giggle. That sound cut me like a knife. Bethany saw me and said coolly. The office was busy. Chase is staying here tonight, he can have the room, you can crash on the couch. Chase poured gas on the fire, pretending to be concerned. Bethany, am I intruding? Maybe I should just go. He looked at me smirking. Don't. Bethany said, stopping him. Sit down, I'll get you some water. I ignored him and headed for the bedroom. As I passed Chase my shoulder brushed his. Chase screamed and fell backward onto the coffee table, knocking a glass onto the floor. Glass showered his hand. Ah, Stanley, if you want me to leave just say it, don't hit me. Bethany rushed over shoving me away. Are you insane, hitting him in my house? I stumbled back shocked. You believe him? He fell, I saw you, who hit him? Bethany stood in front of Chase, glaring at me. What the hell is wrong with you? Chase grinned behind her, holding up his bloody hand. I couldn't believe this shit, I didn't touch him enough. Bethany snapped, her voice full of disappointment. I thought you were just insecure, but you're violent too. Apologize to Chase. What, why should I? I said, trying to keep my voice down. He fell, I didn't touch him. Chase played the martyr. Bethany, don't fight over me, it's my fault, I'm sorry Stanley. Chase bowed deeply. Bethany got even angrier seeing how sweet Chase was being. She slapped me across the face. My cheek stung and went numb. Apologize or we're through. Bethany still thought I'd beg and plead, but I just held my cheek and said fine. You want to call it off? Let's call it off then. Her face went from shock to rage and contempt. Oh, you think you're so tough now? You think I won't cancel the wedding just because my grandfather arranged it? She grabbed her phone and called her father on speaker. Dad, cancel the wedding for tomorrow. Tell the guests. She stared at me, waiting for me to crack. Stanley, apologize now, and maybe I'll. Her dad's voice interrupted, confused. Bethany, the wedding was canceled weeks ago. Stanley came to cancel it himself. Didn't he tell you? Bethany froze, her lips parted, eyes darting between me and the phone still in her hand. The silence that followed was deafening. Her father's voice was still echoing through the speaker, stunned. Wait, he continued after a pause. You didn't know? He came to us. Gave back the heirloom. Told us he was ending things for your sake. Bethany's hand dropped, the phone slipping from her fingers and clattering onto the floor. The sound snapped her back to reality. She looked at me as if she didn't recognize me. You? What do you mean you canceled it? Her voice cracked. I stayed quiet, just watching her. Not angry. Not smug. Just tired. So tired. She stepped forward, her expression unsteady. Why didn't you say anything? Because you were too busy, I said calmly. Too busy throwing birthday parties and giving away watches. Too busy making out on beaches and playing house with Chase to care what I was going through. Chase, standing awkwardly behind her, looked like he wanted to disappear. His usual cocky smirk had vanished. He opened his mouth, but for once, nothing came out. Bethany stared at me like I'd slapped her. You could have at least. What? Asked for another chance? I interrupted. Begged you not to leave me? I did that. For 5 years. And you made me invisible. You made me your secret. Your plan B. You kept me tucked away while parading Chase around like some trophy. And now you want what? Closure? Bethany's eyes filled with tears, but I didn't feel bad. Not anymore. You lied to me, she whispered. I tilted my head. Did I? Or did you just assume I'd always be there, no matter how many times you trampled me? She swallowed hard, glancing at Chase. It wasn't like that. It was exactly like that, I said. The silence returned. Chase looked at her, then at me, then turned and walked out. Just like that. No smug grin. No parting shot. No defense. He left Bethany standing there, humiliated. She knelt down and picked up the phone slowly. My dad knew? My mom knew? You told them, before me? I nodded. They deserved to know. They were going to pay for a wedding that wasn't going to happen. Her mouth opened again, but nothing came out. I didn't want to hurt you, Bethany, I said, my voice finally soft. I loved you. I probably still do in some twisted way. But love shouldn't be this cruel. She let out a shaky breath. So what now? I move on, I said. You should too. And I left. For a few days, I stayed with an old college friend, Thomas, who had a guest room and a stocked fridge. He didn't ask questions. He didn't press. He just handed me a beer and turned on a game, and that was enough. Sometimes silence is the greatest kindness. But even there, the story found me. Social media blew up after Bethany's father made the official announcement to the guests. The wedding had been cancelled due to irreconcilable differences. I didn't care. Let them speculate. Let them gossip. I just wanted peace. But peace is a funny thing. It doesn't come easy when you've spent 5 years bending over backwards for someone who never saw you. 3 days after I left Bethany, I got a message from Mark. Yes, that Mark. The guy who used to loiter around Bethany's desk like a lost puppy. Hey man. Just heard what happened. I know we didn't always see eye to eye, but you deserved better. If you're looking for a new gig, I heard there's an opening at Linden Group. Let me know. I stared at the message for a long time. Mark, of all people. Maybe the world really was upside down. I didn't reply. Not yet. The 4th day, I finally called my mother. She'd known something was wrong for months. She always did. Stanley, she said, her voice warm but concerned. You okay, baby? I will be, I said honestly. It's over. She sighed softly. You gave her everything. Yeah. And she gave it to someone else. There was a pause. Then, good. Let that be the last time you let anyone make you feel small. By the end of the week, I had a new phone number, a new email, and a cleaned up resume. I applied to 3 jobs that felt like a better fit than the soulless firm where I'd met Bethany. I went out for runs, slept 8 hours, ate real food, and started writing again. Just journaling. Letting it out. And then, one evening, I got a knock on Thomas's door. It was Bethany. She looked tired. No makeup. No heels. Just jeans and a sweatshirt. Her hair was pulled back in a messy ponytail, and for the first time in forever, she didn't look like someone's boss. She looked like someone lost. Can I come in? She asked. I hesitated. I just want 5 minutes, she added. Then I'll leave. Thomas raised an eyebrow at me from the hallway but nodded and retreated. I stepped aside. She sat on the edge of the couch like she didn't belong there. Which, frankly, she didn't. I messed up, she said. I know. I don't know what I was thinking. I thought I had all this power, all this control. I thought I could have it both ways, keep you and play with Chase. You didn't think at all, I said. She flinched. You're right. We sat in silence for a moment. I haven't seen Chase, she said. Not since that night. I'm not here for updates on your love life. She nodded, biting her lip. I just wanted to say, thank you. For not humiliating me. You could have blasted the truth all over the place. But you didn't. I wasn't trying to win, I said. I just wanted to walk away with some dignity. She nodded again. I miss you, she whispered. I looked at her. You miss having someone who always forgave you. Who let you walk all over him. That's not true. It is. She blinked back tears. Do you think we could ever try again? No, I said gently. Her tears finally fell. I walked her to the door. She stopped at the threshold. Then, could we be friends? I smiled, just a little. Bethany, I was your best friend for 5 years. You didn't notice. You don't get to ask for that now. And I closed the door. That night, for the first time in years, I slept like a man who owed no one anything. Because I had finally done what I should have done long ago. I chose me. It had been 2 weeks since I shut that door in Bethany's face. 2 weeks since I burned the last bridge to a version of myself that bent, broke, and bled for someone who never planned to stay. And in that short time, something wild happened. I felt free. Not happy, not yet. But clear. I could look in the mirror and see myself again. I moved out of Thomas's place and into a tiny studio apartment on the east side. It wasn't much, just a bed, a desk, a coffee maker that only worked when I hit it twice, but it was mine. No memories soaked into the walls. No cold bed waiting for me at night. Just a quiet space to rebuild. The first Monday in my new place, I had an interview with Linden Group. Yeah, the place Mark had mentioned. I debated even going. The idea of Mark being involved in any way made me uneasy. But I couldn't afford to be proud. Rent was real, and my savings were running out. The office was sleek, modern, filled with the kind of people who didn't smile unless someone higher up was watching. But the hiring manager, Nora, was sharp, no nonsense, and refreshingly honest. I read your resume, she said, tapping the folder on her desk. Impressive work on the Carter Initiative. Why'd you leave Wilkinson Consulting? I considered lying. Then I didn't. My ex-fiance is their CEO, I said. We dated in secret for 5 years. She was seeing someone else on the side. I left before it got uglier. Nora blinked. Then snorted. Well, that's blunt, she said. But honest. I appreciate that. She hired me on the spot. Said the team needed someone who didn't play politics. The job was good. The hours were decent. The pay wasn't as high as Wilkinson's, but the air was cleaner here, figuratively and literally. No more walking on eggshells. No more watching Bethany flirt with Chase over spreadsheets. Here, I could be someone new. Or maybe just someone real. On the third Friday at Linden Group, I was walking to my car when someone called my name. Stanley? I turned. It was Maya. Bethany's former executive assistant. She'd always been kind, always respectful. But we never talked beyond passing greetings. Seeing her here, in jeans and a leather jacket, not her usual tailored blazer, felt strange. Hey, I said cautiously. She looked relieved. You're a hard man to find these days. That's the point. She laughed. I figured. A beat of silence passed. I heard what happened, she said. With Bethany. And Chase. I raised an eyebrow. Let me guess. The whole office knows? They did before the wedding got cancelled, she said. People talk. Especially when the CEO disappears into boardrooms with a guy like Chase twice a day. Figures. She hesitated. I actually came to apologize. I frowned. For what? For never speaking up, she said. I saw how she treated you. I saw you bringing her food, covering for her when she forgot meetings, picking up her dry cleaning when she was too busy. I thought it was none of my business. It wasn't, I said. And besides, no one would have believed you. Not even me. Maya sighed. Still, you deserved better. I nodded, touched in a way I hadn't expected. Thanks. She smiled and looked away. Anyway, I'm not working there anymore. I left last week. Oh? Started my own thing. Boutique HR consulting. Small but growing. I actually have a contract with Linden Group now, so. Surprise. We both laughed. Well, she added, if you ever need anything, references, recommendations, coffee that doesn't taste like printer ink, let me know. And with that, she walked away. I watched her go. Maybe not everyone from the old life had been a waste. 2 weeks later, Maya emailed me. Subject, need a favor, not from Bethany, I swear. Hey Stanley. I'm working with a startup that's building out a new leadership training initiative. They need someone with ops experience and emotional intelligence. I thought of you. Can I set up a meeting? Maya. I agreed. The meeting was held at a co-working space downtown. The startup was young, fresh-faced, still smelling of ambition and Red Bull. Their CEO, Lauren J., was sharp as hell. She grilled me on metrics, logistics, performance under pressure. I answered every question. Then she asked, "What's the hardest decision you've ever made?" I didn't hesitate. Walking away from someone I loved, knowing they didn't respect me. She nodded slowly. That's leadership. They hired me as a consultant. The project wasn't huge, but it felt right. It was a clean slate, something I hadn't had in years. And I found myself working late, not because I had to, but because I wanted to. Maya and I became friends, real ones. She was smart, witty, grounded. Not a trace of Bethany's ego. And unlike Bethany, she didn't need a pedestal. She had her own damn stage. One evening, while we reviewed policy drafts over Thai takeout, she asked, "Do you ever miss her?" I didn't even have to think. No. I miss who I thought she was. But that person never existed. Maya nodded. It's wild, right? How long we can lie to ourselves. 5 years, I said, with a dry smile. That's how long it took me. She smiled back. Well, you're here now. Around that time, I saw Bethany again. I was walking into a cafe when she came out. She looked different. Hollow. She stopped dead in her tracks. Stanley. Bethany. We stood there for a moment, two strangers wearing the skin of people who used to share a bed. You look good, she said. You look like someone who's learning a lesson, I replied. Her lips twitched. I guess I am. She stepped closer. I still think about you. I don't, I said honestly. Her face faltered. Take care of yourself, I added gently. Then I walked past her and didn't look back. That night, I wrote a letter. I didn't send it. I just needed to write it. Dear Stanley. You did it. You walked away from someone you thought you couldn't live without. You took the heartbreak, the humiliation, the silence, and turned it into clarity. You made space for yourself. For peace. For truth. This isn't revenge. This isn't winning. This is freedom. This is finally choosing you. Keep going. Love. The version of you that didn't give up. I folded the letter and tucked it into the back of my journal. Then I texted Maya. Me, you still down for that rooftop jazz thing? Maya, only if you're paying for overpriced mocktails. Me, done. And for the first time in years, I was excited about where life might go next. Because now, I was steering the ship. And this time, there was no one left to drag me down. 6 weeks had passed since I started working with Lauren's startup. In that time, I helped streamline their leadership training program, secured a speaking engagement for their launch event, and slowly watched the fog of my past life lift. Each day felt more mine. No shadows of Bethany lurking around corners. No more gut-tightening texts. No lingering scent of disappointment. Just air. Light. Motion. I even started jogging again. Not because I was chasing something, but because I wasn't running from anything anymore. It felt good. It felt like something was healing. And then, just when I thought I had finally crossed the bridge into a better chapter, I got the envelope. Cream cardstock. Gold trim. My name written in calligraphy so precise, I could almost hear Bethany's mother barking orders at the stationery company. I opened it. You are cordially invited to the Wilkinson Foundation Gala. Honoring the career of Mr. Albert Wilkinson and celebrating the future of Wilkinson Consulting. Date, Friday, 7 p.m. Location, Westbrook Hall. Formal attire required. I almost laughed. Was this a joke? Then I saw the fine print. Keynote, Bethany Wilkinson, CEO. Presentation of Leadership Legacy Award. There it was. An invitation to watch the woman who once hid me, humiliate me, and replace me, now being crowned in public. I tossed it in the trash. 5 minutes later, I pulled it back out. That week, I didn't tell Maya. I worked. I focused. I scheduled, led, delivered. But every night, I'd open that invitation again. Like it was daring me to show up. Like it was whispering, she won. You lost. But the truth? She didn't win. Bethany wasn't being crowned. She was being caged. Because when you build your identity on power, on image, on control, you can never stop performing. Never stop protecting the illusion. That wasn't a throne. It was a trap. Friday arrived. I put on my best suit. Nothing flashy. Just clean, tailored, solid. Before I left, I stared at myself in the mirror for a full minute. I didn't look like the man who once sat quietly on Bethany's couch while she packed for another business trip with Chase. I looked like someone who had nothing to prove, because he already knew who he was. Westbrook Hall was packed. The elite of the corporate world buzzed like bees around polished marble columns and endless champagne flutes. I recognized some faces from Wilkinson Consulting. Most looked stunned to see me. A few looked awkward. A couple nodded with something like respect. I walked past them all and made my way to the back. I didn't want a spotlight. Just a seat where I could watch the circus. Then I saw her. Bethany stood near the stage in a sleek emerald gown, hair pinned back, smile locked in place like it had been glued there. She looked perfect. But too perfect. Like someone who hadn't exhaled in weeks. Her eyes met mine for a brief second. Something flickered. Surprise. Disbelief. Maybe even shame. Then it was gone. She turned and greeted another guest. The presentation began. Mr. Wilkinson got on stage and gave a long, self-congratulatory speech about legacy and values and building the future through family. Then he handed the mic to Bethany. Tonight, she said, we celebrate not just a career, but a commitment to excellence. A vision passed down, and now carried forward. Her voice was steady. Her posture flawless. But I saw it, the tremble in her hand as she adjusted the mic. The tightness behind her smile. She looked out over the crowd and continued. I've always believed that leadership is about strength. About holding the line when others falter. About making the hard choices. I tilted my head. Was that a message to me? She kept going. But strength without empathy is just ego. And choices made without integrity are just power plays. I've made mistakes. I've let ambition blur my priorities. And I've hurt people. Now the room was murmuring. Bethany looked directly at me. One of those people is here tonight. He gave me 5 years of loyalty, love, and silence. And I rewarded him with secrecy, betrayal, and indifference. I never said this in public before, but I'm saying it now, Stanley, I'm sorry. I felt every eye turned toward me. I didn't move. She took a shaky breath. Sometimes the greatest leadership lesson isn't found in boardrooms or bottom lines. Sometimes, it's in the people we lose. And what they teach us about who we really are. There was a smattering of polite applause. Her father looked confused. Her mother looked like she was having a stroke. Bethany stepped down. She didn't come toward me. And I didn't go to her. I'd heard what I needed. But that wasn't the end. As I was walking out, I heard footsteps behind me. It wasn't Bethany. It was her grandfather. Stanley, he said. I stopped. Thank you for coming, he said quietly. It meant something. To her. And to me. I looked at him. You arranged our engagement. You thought I was good enough once. He nodded. I still think you are. My mistake was trying to control how you two would grow. I see that now. He offered his hand. I shook it. Take care of her, he said. I already did, I said gently. Now it's her turn. He smiled faintly. Fair enough. Outside, the air was cold. I took a deep breath and checked my phone. A message from Maya. Hey. You good? You've been quiet. I replied. I went to the gala. Seriously? How was it? Strange. But I'm glad I went. Want to talk about it over drinks? Only if we order fries too. Deal. That night, we sat on her rooftop, city lights glowing around us, jazz playing low from her speaker. I told her everything. She didn't flinch. Didn't judge. When I finished, she handed me another fry. So now what? She asked. I leaned back. Now? I think I'm finally ready to live for myself. Maya smiled. About damn time. And just like that, under the stars, with laughter in the air and closure behind me, I realized something important. The best revenge isn't public humiliation. It's peace. It's waking up and not thinking about them anymore. It's sitting across from someone who sees you, respects you, and never asks you to hide. 3 months after the gala, I no longer woke up thinking about Bethany. I thought about Maya. Not in the obsessive, anxious way I used to think about love. No fantasies of fairy tale weddings, no mental spreadsheets of how many gestures I needed to perform to be worthy. Just warmth. Curiosity. A connection that felt like it could grow without anyone having to shrink to make space. It scared me at first. I kept waiting for the mask to fall, for the rug to be pulled. But Maya never played games. She didn't test me. She didn't withhold affection as leverage. She was present. Grounded. And best of all, real. One Thursday morning, we sat across from each other in a cozy cafe. The kind of place with cracked tiles and worn booths that smelled like cinnamon and burnt espresso. I was telling her about a failed investor pitch at the startup. She listened, eyes locked on me, genuinely invested. When I finished, she smiled. That's not a failure. That's feedback in disguise. I laughed. You sound like a motivational poster. Maybe. But I'm right. She reached for my hand across the table. Her fingers wrapped around mine, gentle but firm. That's when I realized, I was healing in ways I hadn't even noticed. Not because of Maya. But because I had stopped begging people to love me and started loving myself enough to walk away. The next week, Wilkinson Consulting made headlines. Wilkinson CEO faces internal audit after anonymous report alleges ethics violations. I blinked, rereading the article. Bethany's name was plastered across every major business outlet. The article referenced a series of complaints submitted by former and current employees, outlining favoritism, misuse of company funds, and, of course, Chase. Turns out, his luxury watch addiction had finally come back to bite them. He'd been billing personalized client gifts to the company and racking up expenses under fake names. Dozens of invoices, all rubber-stamped by Bethany. Some went to real clients. Some did not. There were murmurs that the board wanted to distance themselves. That Mr. Wilkinson was heartbroken. That Bethany might be stepping down voluntarily to pursue new ventures. I didn't gloat. Not even once. I just sat in my apartment, sipping tea, watching the fire she helped build finally burn everything down. A few days later, I got a message. Not from Bethany. From her grandfather. Subject, dinner. Stanley. I know you likely want nothing more to do with the Wilkinson name, but I'd appreciate a word. No pressure. Just one conversation. One dinner. On me. I debated deleting it. But I couldn't ignore the part of me that still believed in closure done right. So I agreed. He chose an old restaurant tucked behind a bookstore, the kind of place where deals were made in whispers over candlelight. I arrived early. He was already seated. Thank you for coming, he said, rising to shake my hand. We ordered. He waited until the drinks arrived before speaking. She's stepping down, he said. I figured. She's not the only one. Chase is gone. My son, Bethany's father, is taking a leave. The board is in shambles. I nodded. It was bound to happen. He didn't argue. I wanted to tell you something, Stanley. Something I never said before. I looked at him. I chose you. Not because I thought you were the perfect match for Bethany. But because I saw what she lacked, and you had it. That caught me off guard. I hoped she would grow by being with someone like you. Someone patient. Humble. Steady. But instead, she wore you down trying to make you smaller. I said nothing. Truth is, he continued, I used you too. As a lesson. That was wrong. There was a long pause. I appreciate the honesty, I said finally. But I'm not angry. Not anymore. He smiled sadly. She's leaving the city. Says she needs space. Time. I don't know if she's coming back. I didn't ask where she was going. I didn't need to know. He slid a small box across the table. What's this? I believe this belongs to you. I opened it. Inside was the jade dragon pendant. I blinked. I gave this back. It was part of your family. He nodded. And now, it's part of your story. You earned it. I closed the box gently. Thank you. He raised his glass. To building something new. Without permission. I clinked mine with his. That night, I walked home under a sky heavy with clouds. I stopped on a quiet bridge overlooking the city. The pendant felt warm in my pocket. And for the first time, I thought about the future without needing to carry the past with me. The next morning, Maya showed up at my door with coffee. She kicked off her shoes and flopped onto my couch. You look like a man who didn't sleep. I had dinner with Bethany's grandfather. Her eyebrows shot up. Seriously? He gave me this, I said, holding out the pendant. Maya studied it. That's beautiful. It used to represent everything I wasn't. Now, I think it's a reminder of who I am. She smiled. You've changed. I had to. She leaned in. You want to come with me next week? To? Puerto Rico. I'm speaking at a Women in Leadership conference. I have a second ticket. I blinked. Are you asking me on a work cat-iron? She grinned. I'm asking you to leave the city. To breathe. To let the past stay where it is. I hesitated. Then nodded. Yeah. Let's go. I had been someone's secret. Someone's tool. Someone's heartbreak. But now? Now I was someone with a passport, a purpose, and a second chance. No approval needed. No permission asked. Just a decision made by the only person who mattered now, me. Puerto Rico smelled like salt and sunlight and second chances. Maya and I landed just past noon, stepping into a wall of tropical warmth that felt like permission to exhale. The hotel wasn't fancy, but it had a view of the ocean and windows that opened wide to let the breeze in. She'd booked us separate rooms. No pressure. No expectations. Just space. That night, we walked along the shore barefoot, our toes sinking into the wet sand. Maya's hair blew wild in the wind, and I watched her laugh at a joke I barely remembered telling. I'd once thought love meant proving yourself over and over again. Earning it, bargaining for it, waiting for it to be handed back. But with her, it was different. Love wasn't a test here. It was a choice. One she made every day by showing up. We stopped by a beachside cafe. A small band played jazz near the bar, and Maya swayed slightly with the rhythm as we waited for our drinks. She leaned against the railing, looking out at the ocean. So, she said without turning. Have you finally forgiven yourself? The question caught me off guard. For what? For not leaving sooner. For believing her. For staying so long. I stared out at the waves. I used to think if I just tried harder, I'd be enough, I said. Like love was a puzzle, and I was missing the final piece. And now? Now I know I was the final piece, I said quietly. I just kept trying to fit into the wrong puzzle. Maya nodded, her fingers brushing mine. You're not alone in that. The conference the next day was packed. Maya wore a navy blazer, sharp and simple, and stepped onto the stage like she belonged there. Because she did. She talked about boundaries and burnout, about integrity and leadership, and how silence isn't always professionalism, it's sometimes survival. The room hung on her every word. And I watched from the back, smiling like a fool, knowing she had no idea how powerful she really was. When she stepped down, people swarmed her, questions, selfies, requests for follow-up meetings. She handled them all with grace, then slipped out to the lobby where I was waiting with 2 iced lattes. She took hers, raised an eyebrow. Did I overshare? You crushed it, I said. You made a woman in the third row cry. Which one? The one in the red jacket. Maya grinned. Good. That was my goal. Later that night, we sat on the balcony of her hotel room. No music. No distractions. Just her knee brushing mine as we stared into the dark horizon. You ever think about seeing her again? Maya asked suddenly. Bethany? I said, surprised. Yeah. I sipped my drink. Sometimes. Not because I miss her. But because I wonder if she ever figured it out. If she ever looked in the mirror and saw the mess she made. And if she did? I hope she's trying to clean it up. Maya nodded, turning toward me. Would you take her back if she apologized? I didn't even hesitate. No. She looked relieved. Then a bit embarrassed. I wasn't asking for me, she added quickly. I just needed to know you weren't still tied to her. I'm not, I said. You don't need to worry about that. She smiled, soft and real. Good. We sat in silence a while longer. Then I asked the question that had been forming slowly in my mind. Do you think this, I said, motioning between us, could be something real? Maya looked at me. Then took my hand. I don't think, she said. I know. The next morning, I checked my email while Maya showered. There was one new message from an unknown sender. Subject, thank you. No name. Just. I stepped down. I left the city. You were right. I needed to stop pretending. I hope someday I can be the kind of person who would have deserved you. I'm not her yet. But I'm trying. B. I stared at the message for a long time. Then deleted it. No anger. No smile. Just peace. Maya came out of the bathroom, wrapped in a towel and humming off key. She saw me sitting by the window. Everything okay? Yeah, I said. Just letting go of some old weight. Want breakfast? Only if there's coffee. She grinned. There's always coffee. Back home a week later, we unpacked our lives into a shared space. My lease was ending, hers had extra room. It made sense. We didn't call it moving in. We called it evolving. On our first weekend cohabiting, we spent an entire Sunday assembling IKEA furniture and cursing Scandinavian engineering. She made pancakes with too much cinnamon. I burned the bacon. We laughed so much my sides hurt. That night, we hung the jade pendant on the wall. Right in the entryway. I like that you kept it, Maya said, brushing her fingers over it. I almost sold it once. What stopped you? I realized it's not a reminder of who hurt me. It's a reminder of who I survived being. Maya leaned into my shoulder. Let's keep surviving together, then. 3 months later, Lauren asked me to come on full-time at the startup. I accepted. Maya's HR firm signed 2 new major clients. We celebrated with bad champagne and pizza on the floor. No lavish yacht. No $50,000 party. Just real joy. Earned, not borrowed. I still get asked, sometimes, how I found the strength to walk away from a 5-year relationship. My answer? I didn't walk away from her. I walked back to myself. And that made all the difference. The sun was setting as I stood barefoot on our apartment balcony, a warm breeze lifting the edge of my shirt, the city below glowing in streaks of gold and quiet. Maya was inside, finishing a call with a client who couldn't believe how fast she had turned their HR department into something resembling sanity. I leaned on the railing, watching the traffic crawl and people laugh on the sidewalk cafes, and I realized something simple and terrifying. I was happy. Not the kind of happiness you chase in other people or in things that shine temporarily before burning out. No. This was the kind of happiness that came with stillness. With being known. With being seen. A few days later, Maya and I were invited to a networking mixer for young founders and professionals. The room was packed with overachievers in tailored jackets, soft jazz playing under the hum of polite ambition. I stood near the drinks table, watching Maya glide across the floor like she owned it, because in every way that mattered, she did. Then I heard a voice behind me. Stanley? I turned. Bethany. Hair shorter now, blazer buttoned too tight, smile restrained. She looked like someone trying to be small in a room she used to command. We stared at each other for a moment. She stepped closer. Didn't expect to see you here. I could say the same. I thought you were done with this world, she said quietly. I am, I replied. But Maya's not. And I go where she goes. Bethany's lips twitched into something like a real smile. She suits you. She respects me, I said. Her eyes dropped. I'm not here to apologize again, she said. I know one message doesn't fix 5 years. I nodded. It doesn't. She took a slow breath. But I wanted to thank you. For walking away. For saying no. That broke me. But it also made me. I watched her, waiting for the usual pride to slip through. It didn't. Just quiet sincerity. I'm working at a nonprofit now, she added. Smaller team. Less noise. I'm not anyone's boss. Feels weird. Probably good for you, I said. She looked up, eyes clearer than I remembered. If you ever want to talk. I don't, I said gently. But I wish you well. She nodded, and for the first time, she looked like someone who meant to walk away. And she did. Later that night, Maya and I sat on the fire escape, barefoot, legs dangling in the warm air. Was that? She asked. Yeah, I said. Bethany. You okay? I am. She smiled and leaned her head on my shoulder. You're kind, you know that? I'm finally kind to the right person, I said. Myself. The next morning, I found a letter in my inbox. Subject, speaking invite, breaking free. Lauren had submitted my name to a conference committee without telling me. They wanted me to speak on resilience, leadership, and rebuilding from loss. At first, I hesitated. Then I said yes. Because for once, I had a story worth telling, not about success, but about survival. About choosing to leave when staying would have been easier. About love that didn't ask me to shrink. When the day of the conference came, I stood behind the podium, 1,000 eyes looking up at me. I took a breath. Then I said, I used to think love meant endurance. That if I could just work hard enough, give enough, forgive enough, I'd finally be chosen. But real love doesn't need to be earned with pain. It doesn't hide you. It doesn't break you into pieces and call that compatibility. I spent 5 years with someone who loved the idea of me more than the reality of me. And I spent 5 more months learning how to love the version of me that didn't need to be perfect to be worthy. You don't need to be a hero to walk away. You just need to be tired enough to stop bleeding for people who hand you knives. I'm not bitter. I'm better. Not because I found someone new, but because I found myself. The room stood in silence for a moment. Then applause. Not thunderous. Not explosive. Just full of understanding. And that meant more than any ovation I'd ever dreamed of. That night, Maya held me as we lay in bed, moonlight cutting lines across the floor. You did good, she whispered. I feel good, I said. You're free now. I've been free, I corrected. But now I'm whole. Epilogue, 1 year later. We didn't get married on a yacht. We didn't post any ring pictures. But one Sunday, Maya looked up from her tea and said, you know what I realized? What? You don't flinch anymore when someone loves you. I smiled. I know, I said. Took me a while. We got engaged 3 weeks later. Quietly. On our balcony. No speeches. Just a yes. And this time, the watch I wore? Was brand new. Not scratched. Not passed down. Just mine.